The growing impact of climate change means that Tonga is becoming even more vulnerable to the impacts of extreme weather. On the 11th of January 2014, Tongas Ha'apai Islands were hit by Cyclone Ian, the most powerful storm ever recorded in the country. Cyclone Ian destroyed or severely damaged nearly 1,000 houses and public buildings in the Ha'apai Islands. Incredibly, there was just one fatality. While emergency aid poured in to help the most vulnerable, more than a year after the cyclone, many families were still living in tents as they waited for new houses to be built. With funding of $6.5 million from the World Bank, the government of Tonga was able to provide support for many of the most vulnerable households worst hit by the cyclone. But after the cyclone, there was also great confusion among the community about the process for assessing the level of support each household was entitled to receive.
So what had happened was that many people did not lift the hammer just so that they could show the level of damage on their home. And so in terms of assessment, government had to assess level of damage. And that took some time to assess.
And I think that's why the community were like waiting, sitting around in tent and waiting, because one comes in and asks all of those questions, and they were saying things like, don't touch anything until we fully assess the level of damage.
From our perspective, one of the main objectives is to actually learn from that, so that we make sure that that's not going to happen again, because we're pretty sure that there's going to be another cyclone heading down our way, so that we can use the resources available more effectively in terms of our response.
The reconstruction process was also delayed by the complex nature of land ownership in Ha'apai.
I don't think a lot of people outside of Tonga understand how complicated the Land Act is in Tonga. So we have to really push, and no one can give the consent. If that land is registered to a private registered landholder, no one else can give the consent for the construction on that plot of land except that landowner. And we're talking about landowners that live overseas, and we have to try to find contact information for them. So that's the main reason why the reconstruction took that long.
The policy was to give the benefit for whoever was staying in the house during the cyclone. And it was okay for those that they are land house owners, you know. But there were a lot of people that were occupying people's property, you know, and that's where all these problems arise, you know. That people, especially the true owners, you know, of the property, they were reluctant to give their consent, you know, for those people to get, not only to get the house, the new house, the replacement house, and they were awarded to stay on their land for another 30 years or so.
One of the lessons learned from the project is to make sure that the land rights and owners are clear. Who owns the lands? Who was in the home? Are they related? Those key areas, just making sure that there's clarity and ownership of the home, clarity and ownership of the land.
With support from the World Bank, almost 400 new houses have been constructed, and another 350 homes have been repaired by professional contractors. But many households also decided to use financial assistance from the World Bank to repair their own homes using high-quality materials sourced by the project. The guidance of building inspectors like Semisi Fifita have been critical to ensuring the success of the community's self-supported repair work.
So this is the work is here just from the neighbors. They're just trying to fit the louvers and fit the window frames. They have to fix every joint with this knuckle nail plate, and even the every chassis must be tied down with Cyclone ties. That's the head of household. It is over 70 plus. The one-room house is 4.8 by 3.6. The purpose of the one-room house just to give a start for the families. So after a month or after a few years, so they can extend the house. So the place we're going now is one of the A2A component. It's a one-bedroom house. The beneficiary managed to extend the building by themselves.
Since March 2015, the World Bank project has supported the construction of 200 one-room houses, but so far only one family has worked to build its own extension to this initial cyclone-proof structure. In order to earn the money needed to extend her one-room house, Apasia Falevai and her husband decided to travel to New Zealand as part of a seasonal fruit-picking scheme.
Masio ke maki senti nai kai fe o ngai ke mahoko a ke fu fare lahi nei ai pe ngai fatongia nai fu ki mua te matokia mo maki koko ko hui o ke ha ku pa angalahi ke totongi a ke ga nga u ke ne fai langa pe whakaukau le wautongane, pa hau le wautongane, mo na puringa we, mo I toko wha makehe, o nau kore mai maka te au, te nau hau pe o whai e ku ngā we, I he whai wike pe e taha, ka nau whoki he oku, kei whakaose nau ngā we, nau tōru I Tonga, pa nau talangi rewa I o pe o ku whia ia I he o keke hapa anga, ke wahe aki nau tōru e ku iai pe ngai whamiri e ngai e taki ngā we, pe mo e nau toenga nau kau ngā we. I he tōko e taimini, Osi goe fo I nofo anga koe nei, ki video ki whakatoka matangi mai ki muini mai. E ku nofo koe I loto ko o tātāpuni, e ki fo I konga koe ni mo toko ni o tātāpuni. Na huongo I whiawhia lahi he nei kai ke huongo I au ia uha. Na utau ki hupe ki tua, na ufo whiawhia lahi ko whakaamo pe, ke osi ko whare, o ngo I tātau pe au me whanau, ai malu I loto. Ke oa na te mau e whanau, ai ongo na ia te au I he ki mua. E tairiri na wiwi ku I loto he whare, ka na ufo whiawhia lahi. Pa koe loto lahi kia te au, ke u whakaosi ai ngā we I he tauni, pe koe tau fo au te uaru o whakaosi au pita ngā we ni.
As the project progressed, it also became clear that many of the remaining households would receive greater benefits if they used their funding entitlement to undertake self-supported repairs. Depending on the assessed level of damage, households could receive up to $3,500 or $5,300 for their self-supported repairs.
There were a few tension in the beginning, and then when we explained to them the reason why we were pushing for the SSR, because if we contract a contractor to come and provide the job, to do the service, then they won't receive that much materials for their repairs.
If you were to just take a number, for example, 10,000, if you hire a contractor, you'll probably get maybe 6,000 in materials, and then 4,000 would be contractor. Whereas the SSR, you would get all 10,000 materials, and then family members would help. So definitely you would get more of a house, more repairs under the self-supported repairs as opposed to a contractor-led activity.
We experienced this that some people that were supposed to have a one-room or a two-room house, they decided to downgrade themselves to the repair works, you know, because they knew that it's better for them to fix their big house, their old house.
It is clear from the reconstruction efforts in Ha'apai that we can help to strengthen resilience to climate change by supporting greater self-reliance at the community level.
Being able to receive the tools, being able to get the supplies, and then having the inspectors support them as they do their repairs are hugely useful in terms of being more resilient.
You know, I sometimes use the rugby as an example. You know, when you play against another team, you need to learn about the opposition, and in this case, climate change. You need to train yourself, get some stamina. You need to have some skills. So it's just like that. So when you're actually playing against the other team, you learn how to actually sidestep certain things, thereby reducing the risk. You need to actually be able to take the hit. You know, take the hit, go down, and you have to get up and still keep going. So to me, that's what resilience is all about.
In the final analysis, it is critical for government and development partners to find the most cost-effective ways to help build on traditional resilience that already exists within Tonga's communities.
We really need to take a look at the holistic approach where you have government, development partners, communities, and households all working together, understanding what the design is and what are the messages so that all the communities understand what's going on.